Hello champions and future champions, hello Chessmood family. Today I will show you how to play against the Latvian Gambit. This is not a popular opening on the top levels, but you will face it a lot playing against amateurs. You know, often they love to sacrifice something, take the initiative and play romantic chess. But today I will show you how we are going to disappoint them, get a big advantage and keeping the initiative in our hands at the same time. First, let's see what are the ideas of Latvian Gambit, what are the downsides, and then I will show you how we are going to play against it. Let's start with the ideas. After f5 move, if black successfully remove from the board f5 and e4 a pawn, what will happen? Opponent will have a pawn in the center while we don't have any pawn. They will play knight c6, d5 and take a center and the advantage too. Another idea of f5 move is if black successfully develop the pieces of the king side, playing next move knight f6, bishop c5, short castle, the rook on f8 will not be limited with the f7 pawn. Now the pawn is on f5, so the rook is open and together with this bishop on c5 they will put a pressure on the f2 pawn. Now let's go to the downside. Black plays kind of a reversed king's gambit, but tempo-less because the knight is not on g1 but it's on f3. Another downside of f5 move is that they are weakening the king side a lot and the king's position as well. They are weakening the a2 g8 diagonal, and after bishop comes to c4 it's going to be very annoying bishop. Also with f5 move they are weakening the h5 e8 diagonal, and very often, soon you will see, we will have queen h5 killing tracks. Another downside of Latvian Gambit is that in chess white starts the game, and being a tempo down black is going to open fight, which is strategically cannot work. Now let's see how we are going to refute the Latvian Gambit. Here white has a wide choice. They can take on f5, they can take on e5, they can play here bishop c4, developing the bishop and trying to exploit the f7 weakness. White can develop the knight c3 and also play here d4. In the article which we just published you can find about all these options. All of them are interesting, but immediately I'm going to show you the best and the most practical one, which is going to be knight e5 move. By the way, the link of the article is in the description. You can read it and then come back, up to you. Well, what is happening after knight e5? We took opponent pawn and here we are threatening a very unpleasant check, queen h5. This is actually a killer check because there is no g6. We'll use this pin and take on g6, winning material. So after we take opponent pawn on e5, here we are threatening queen h5. We are threatening to play bishop c4 and exploit the f7 weakness, playing knight f7 or even bishop f7. And also we want to take opponent another pawn on f5. Now if black takes fe4, here we have this queen h5 check and game is over. With the same reason after f5, knight e5, there is no d6 move. Again, queen h5 check and white wins. After knight e5, if black plays here knight f6, not allowing us to play queen h5 check, here we have option. Whether to play bishop c4, trying to finish the game immediately, exploiting the f7 square, or just take f5 and be pawn up. The main move after knight e5 is queen f6. Black develops the queen with the tempo, attacking the e5 knight, and also they cover queen h5 check. Now there is no reason to play queen h5 because after g6, knight g6, first queen is defending the g6, so black can take queen g6, or even they can take hg6, because now queen defends the h8 rook. However, the queen f6 move has one downside. Black is not following the chess rules. In chess, in the opening, at first we need to develop our minor pieces. And second, we should not develop our queen early in the game, because it can be attacked by opponent's minor pieces, after which we should lose tempos. So queen f6 move is not following these rules. Now we simply play d4, pushing the central pawn, opening the bishop on c1 and at the same time defending the e5 knight. Now if black takes the e4 pawn, here we have bishop c4, very strong move, which practically finishes the game. White is exploiting the f7 weakness, is coming either bishop f7, so opponent king will stay in the center, or knight f7, trapping the rook on h8. Black's problem is that queen on f6 is very misplayed. If the queen was on d8, then black could play here d5. Queen would defend the d5 pawn. In our case, opponent queen is on f6 and there is no d5, and black has big problems with f7 square. That's why after d4 black should play d6 first, attacking our knight and only then taking on e4. Here white knight can retreat 3 places: knight c4, knight d3 and knight f3. Now if the knight goes to d3 or f3, in both cases opponent will take fe4 with a tempo on the knight on d3. That's why the most logical move here is to play knight c4. So after fe4 the knight doesn't hang on d3 or on f3. Now white goes here knight c3, attacking the e4 pawn, and here black has a very strong and important move, queen g6. What is happening? With queen g6 move, black defends the e4 pawn, prepared next move to play knight f6, developing the king side, and then play either bishop e7, short castle, or even to play d5 and then bishop d6. Also, the queen on g6 is doing a great job not allowing us to develop the king side. We cannot play bishop e2 because the g2 pawn will hang. After knight c3, queen g6, still here because white is much ahead in development. They have developed 2 knights while opponent has just 1 queen developed. Here white has a strong move f3, with the idea after ef3, queen f3 to take the initiative. This idea you can find in all good videos and in all good articles about the Latvian Gambit, saying that this is the way to play against it. But when I was preparing for the article and for preparing the course, I found that after knight c3, queen g6, f3, here black, instead of taking ef3 and giving the initiative to white, can play here knight c6, still keeping the initiative in their hands. The idea is that if we take here knight e4, black can play d5, and now we have a problem with our knights. And after f3, knight c6, when we take fe4, black plays bishop e7. Not knight f6, not showing the cards, but keeping it there on g8. Now our d4 and e4 pawns can hang. We should be careful with opponent's bishop h4 checks, bishop g4, and the knight can go to f6 as well to h6. With the idea after short castle, it will not stay on f6 in front of the rook on f8. And here, black is getting compensation. Still, with precise next moves, white can keep the advantage, but it's not very practical. Instead of that, I have a much practical option for you. After queen f6, d4, d6, we play here knight d3, which is almost a novelty in the database. Everyone played here knight c4, the most logical move, but soon you will see that how strong is knight d3. The reason is that after fe4, the knight goes to f4. Okay, white lost the tempo, playing 2 times with the knight, knight d3, knight f4, but the knight on f4 is staying much better than it was on c4. The main thing is that it's controlling the g6 square, and black cannot play anymore their strong queen g6 move. Another advantage to having the knight on f4 instead of c4 is that here we can develop the bishop f1 to c4, where he will feel him very good. Additionally, the next move we are going to play knight c3, develop the knight with tempo, attacking opponent e4 pawn, and it's gonna be very unclear how black is going to develop the pawn. As you can notice here, queen on f6 is very misplaced. It was the place of black's knight. Now black has 2 main options, whether to play here c6, with the idea next move to play d5 and create a good pawn chain, and defending the e4 pawn, next to play bishop d6, knight e7, or after knight f4 to play queen f7, knight f6. Well, if black plays here c6 with the idea to play d5, we are not going to allow opponent to play d5, but we will play d5 ourselves. Now, whenever opponent takes cd5 after knight d5, they will have not just one weak pawn on e4, but also the second weak pawn on d6. So with d5, we are keeping the e4 pawn far from black's army, and also in many variations in the future, the d6 gonna become a weakness. Next move we are going to play knight c3, attacking the e4 pawn. And if, for example, queen f7, knight c3, knight f6, we are going to play bishop c4 next. Queen e2, defending the c4 pawn, so we are threatening d c6, and also attacking on e4 pawn. So this is the problem of c6 move. We go d5, and after knight f4, if black plays here queen f7, we go knight c3, developing the knight, attacking the e4 pawn, and after knight f6, bishop e2, d5, we go short castle, and the next move, very important one, we go f3, activating both of our pieces, bishop on e2 and the rook on f1, and after the f line is open, opponent's queen on f7 will be again misplayed. After ef3, bishop f3, we attack the d5 pawn. If black goes c6, it's very easy to notice how ahead we are in development, but also we have here a very unpleasant check for opponent. Rook e1, and bishop e7, and queen e2 strong move. We are not allowing opponent to go short castle, and black has big problems. Champions, after d4, d6, both of the moves, knight c4 and knight d3, are equally by strength. However, knight d3 is much more practical, with the idea after fe4, knight f4. Why this variation is much more practical than knight c4? There are two main reasons. First, Gambit players like to sacrifice something and get the initiative. But now after knight d3, knight f4, the initiative is absolutely in our hands. The second, Gambit players like to surprise opponent, and with f5 moves they hope to surprise us that we don't know the theory. However, after knight e5, queen f6, d4, d6, the main theory, we surprise opponent playing knight d3 move, which is almost not played in the database, and this move I couldn't find in any article or any video. And now opponent will say, what is this? And after fe4, knight f4, we have not just big advantage, but also practical advantage. More about this position and other small option of the Latvian Gambit you can find in the course. I will put the link in the description part, and also you will find a lot about the Latvian Gambit in the article which we just published. Both of the links are in the description. At the end of today's lesson I have a small homework for you. Recently I had this position in one of the blitz games, and the opponent here played queen f7. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop e2, and he played bishop e7 passively. Now the bishop is developed very badly. Still, short castle, f3, activating both of our pieces, and after ef3, bishop f3, played knight c6. Knight cd5, attacking the bishop on e7, trying to get bishop pair advantage, and also attacking the c7 pawn. And now black played bishop d8. How white should continue here? There is a very nice way and a small tactic to get almost a winning advantage. You can put the answers in the comment section. And I hope you loved today's lesson where we refuted the Latvian Gambit, and hopefully you will never worry again about this nasty thing. So we take knight e5, queen f6, d4, d6 and knight d3 with the idea after fe4 to play knight f4. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next daily lessons, and again, thank you for all your support, for subscribing to our channel, for liking the videos and sharing them with your friends. Take care guys, see you soon.